Hello everybody and welcome to my 13th video, although today it won't exactly be a video lesson, but guess what this is? This is actually my old comics from September 21st to November 31st, November 21st, 2016. It's one of my first comics I ever drew. Let's take a look inside. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you through each issue of Python Bounty, my first comic series. How cool is that? Well, actually it isn't really cool because it's a series that I decided to fail because it did not have a story, and I did not create a story for it. Instead, I just went on with whatever I did, and also I created it really fast. I wanted to get a comic done really fast, so I got it done in a day. So this is the first issue of Python Bounty, which is Battle Against Dogen. And as you can see, for every Python Bounty issue, I would put up some fake original art that was rejected in the very beginning. It really wasn't rejected, but it was but this one of these sketches in the very beginning, this is actually one of the only ones that were actually real. This is a real original sketch that I created originally for Python Bounty, but then of course I changed my Python Bounty character to this character. He changed over time. And if you ever haven't do a series, you'll find out that your character changes over time. And let me see if I can find a few copies of Nick Curry here. Oh yeah, I do have one lying around here. So as you can see, this is book 1. This is book 1. This is book 2. And if you look inside book 1, and Nick Curry, he has hair like this, and in book 2, his hair changes into a very messy, spiky hair, and you'll find that your character changes over time, especially if you're doing this series. But let's get back to Python Bounty, the first issue that I made, and it's not even staple. I don't know why I did that in the maybe because I had so many panels, but there were many story issues with this story, but I managed to get through. And then when I was done with this, when I decided to finish the series, I moved on and found that discovered that I used a story. So let's move on to the next issue, which is Right Place, Right Time, and we are right now in France. It's a Paris story. There's as you can see in the first issue. Let me get back to the first issue. The first issue, he had a blue. His eyes, his helmet lights were blue, but here his helmet lights are green. That's one of the special things about one of the fun things of what I did was choosing the color for his helmet every time. This is not that I kept changing every time. It's a purpose thing that I changed. That well, every issue it will change. You'll see in the future issues. But as you can see, this is one of the issues. The issue when I started copying Star Wars. Actually, if you take a look at, let's see if I can find the Delta 7 Starfighter. Alright, so I found the page where I copied Star Wars. This is a Delta 7 KSE Aspirite class light interceptor, affiliation Jedi Order, manufacturer, quad systems engineering, measurement 8 meters long, weapons, laser cannons. And as you can see, we go backwards here. His ship, let me zoom out a little. His ship looks exactly like the Delta Starfighter, and I think that was pretty cool. Although it was a little bit too obvious, I found out later on how to use reference and how you should not make things a little obvious. Just make things a little obvious and it should be fine. But for now, let's move on to the next one, which is Forge Wealth. I created the story that and merged two stories together because it was so bad that it was so short, and see, it was just 1, 2, 3, 4 pages long, and then at the very end the police get it. But there's another story that's even shorter, actually, just 3 pages. and it continues on, and there's characters and very boring. But as I continue, I found that I was getting better. As you know, the phrase "practice makes perfect." I slowly got into Rise of the Krondroi, and it's, by the way, I haven't even told you what the story is actually about. Python Bounty is actually a bounty hunter, or a bounty hunter who is actually a sort of superhero working for a person who knows. I would say that this guy Sid, this guy with the green shirt, he knows all the bad stuff's going on, and around the world, and he would send Python Bounty and go and get him and get the bad guy. I think that's what Python Bounty is all about. It's about this bounty hunter and his friend Cody and all his friends stopping these bad guys daily as a bounty hunter. And at the very end, you will see that they even got some friends, like this guy who looked exactly like the Hulk, but I named it Hulko. And if we move on, we'll find that I used the scene of San Francisco right here. It's the Transamerica Pyramid, and that's the end of the story. But Python Bounty, as you know, no story in it. I didn't write a script for it. I just went along with it. So let's go to the next issue, which is almost a fail. And by the way, there are 36 issues, so I'm not sure about how time to go through all of them. Maybe I'll have to make a second video next time. But let's move on. As you can see, it has become obvious that we are in New York City, which is, by the way, where I live. And this is a Subway. This is his. I think one of the things to keep your story interesting is that you make something you make something repeat and repeat and repeat on purpose. And here we go. We are in this deli. And they go in and they pay for this. Let me zoom in. They pay for this Sprite. They pay for the Sprite and a wad of gum. And he says, "I love gum. Southbury. Let's go, Cody." And he's still eating gum. In the Subway, eating gum. And they meet the bad guy. He's still eating gum. And gum, and gum, and gum, and gum, and gum, and gum, all the way through. And they fight on top of the Subway here, which I think is actually a pretty cool scene. And they have a taxi chase. He's still eating gum. I think it gets kind of funny, but you don't want to overdo it. I think I quite overdid it here because he's eating gum everywhere. And then, of course, when he's captured, he's still eating gum. Yeah, I totally overdid it. But this almost fail was in New York. And as you can see, I did some original art here that was completely fake. I didn't make any preparatory sketches for that. But let's move on to the next issue, Singapore Success. And as you can see, by the end of this issue, we have found that issue 1, issue 2, issue 3, issue 4, issue 5, and issue 6, the helmet lights they have all changed. And this is actually some facts, not original art from Singapore. This is the Singapore LRT MRT symbol, and this is a map of the Bukit Panjang LRT system and the LRT system and all the map. And as you can see now, issue 6, we are in issue 6, and his helmet light has changed yet again, and this time he has gone to Singapore. But his whole story is not set in Singapore. It's actually set in Singapore, and they go into a portal, and they go into this dark area where they find the bad guys, but of course they win again. And of course some of these stories are really short, and but I think that's how you get started with a story career. You make short stories first, and you get longer and longer and longer and longer. And I think that's the way to do it. And let's by the way, you viewers who've been with me for a very long time may have found that I actually have a new desk now. I used to have a brown desk, but now I have a new white desk. But it doesn't mean that I switched location. I'm still in the same area where I was earlier. So this is the 7th issue by now, The Giant, the Snake, and the Battle. I believe this will be set in Japan, but the Japan like the sunset here, some hills. That's what I assume Japan maybe like. But I didn't do much research for this. I didn't even know what I did do much research. But by the time I got to my first graphic novel, which was, by the way, Hostage, I had done tons of research. But you gotta be cautious when doing research because you could also get overboard with doing that. So let's continue. This is set in Japan and Tokyo, and they had to get this. They had to get this eye of the this. You have to get the. Let's see. You have to bring back the fan, the Cobra, and the left eye of the giant. And I think that's really interesting. Maybe there'll be a future comic about that. And if you want me to make a future comic about getting the fan of a Cobra and the eye of the left eye of the giant to create and merge them together to make one diamond, leave me a comment in the comment section, and then I'll take it into consideration. There are many of you who answer. But for now, let's go on to issue 8. I think I may have to wrap this video up soon and make the video 2 sometime else very soon. But let's go on. The biggest race China has ever seen, and I think this is one of the best ones I've ever did. It's this race. They go up the hills, they go down the hills, they go up higher mountains and higher mountains. They zoom through areas, and of course, they win. But I found that not all stories have unhappy endings, but unfortunately, I've only found that after I finished the series for Python Bounty. So let's go on to issue 9. The Awesome Vacation, and let's see, February 28th, 2 years after Right Place, Right Time. I actually added that, but my drawing skills, I believe they're getting a little better here, but then the story is still not completely done. But this guy is actually Dogen's brother, as we saw in the first issue. Alright, so let's go on to issue 10, which is Penguin Poachers. And at this point, my dad had already seen my interest in comics, and he actually left me a surprise, which is he designed the characters for this comic. And as you can see from Zahir and Dr. Beard, though, they appeared in the pages that I made, and of course they played a major role in this story. But I think it's time to move on because my timer, my YouTube default 15 minutes is getting a little short. I believe it is. I think I'm going to split this into a series of 3 videos. Of each one, I'm going to show 12 of them. But I'm just going to quickly move on and tell you that 11 and 12, the World Bounty Tournament is a tournament much like, you know, the TV show Ninjago. They had a tournament of elements, and this is sort of like that. And the Redwood Adventure, they move on to the Redwood Forests, and I love this story because it is so much like Return of the Jedi. Let me grab the Return of the Jedi book. I have actually made this in Video Lessons episode 11, I believe it was 11. And in Endor, they actually come to a place where they go on to Endor, and they have many awesome. Here we go, Endor, and they come into this forest planet. They have awesome speed changes, and this is sort of like that. This is sort of a copycat. As you can see, I also put the camouflage just like in Return of the Jedi. But I think that wraps up my video on Python Bounty. I sincerely hope you found some value in it, because even if you start out in such meager beginnings as me in comics, you may also in the end come up with your own graphic novels professionally. This is not exactly professionally, but I would say that it is perhaps of publicational quality, maybe. I don't know their standards, but I think it's time to wrap this thing up. In the next video, we will be going through the next 12 issues of Python Bounty.